Now, if you haven't already, I would suggest you watch part 1 of me talking about Sir Ovington's series before watching this video. Anyways, let's get right into it. So, Piggy Last Stand. I'm gonna be honest, this is kind of a bit of a weird name, because it's not exactly his last book that he's made. Anyways, let's get into it. So, the group arrives at a place that Boy and the player met in book 1. So this place actually turns out to be Boy's old base, and they're trying to look for a certain area in it. So the player goes through the alleys, and of course, there's obviously an infected in there. So they arrive at a security room in the base, and Boy plans to make it a testing place. But then someone picks up on the radio, a random person who is trapped somewhere. So the group decides to go and save the person on the radio. So the group arrives at the foundry to save the survivor. But it turns out they wouldn't be meeting a friendly face. It was a trap set by Willow, and they've fallen right into it. And Willow pretty much warned them to stay out of their way. She pretty much doesn't want them interfering with her plans. Willow lets the player and Pony go for now, but then player and Pony run into Mimi and Giraffe. Anyways, time for some exposition where Mimi explains that there's a new infection new kind of infection that makes you more aggressive, but it's only temporary, and you're only really infected for 2 weeks. And they know a cure to it. But then Boy comes out of nowhere and explains that the old base has been overrun, and they move to a new location. So they decide to head to their new base. So when they arrive at the new base, they meet up with Zizzy and Georgie. So after Mimi and Giraffe explains to Zizzy and Georgie what happened, Boy decides to bring Mimi and Giraffe to go and get supplies. So the three arrive at the place to get supplies. And while looking for supplies, Boy found a radio. But then, the player's voice appeared on the radio, and because of a horde of infected, they had to barricade themselves somewhere. Oh, and Pony also got attacked by an infected. So, Boy decides to go and save them. So, the three arrive back at base. But parts of the base are really dangerous to be in because it's swarmed by infected. Luckily, the three manage to get to where the others are, and they finally meet up with the others. So, the player introduces an old friend of his to Boy, and that old friend of his is called Bunny, and Bunny used to be like Giraffe and Mimi. Now, in terms of Pony, the player said that they needed to find stuff to make a cure to cure Pony. And the player knows where those things for the cure can be found. But then Boy fell into some sort of a hole. So, the others go back to base, while the player and Zizzy go to look for Boy. So, after they go through the sewers, but they don't find him, so they go back to base. So, back at base, the player explains that the secret lab may be across an ocean, and they need a boat to get to there. So, in the port, they finally found a boat and got on it. But little did they know, Willow's group was close by. Anyways, the group arrives at a hotel. But it turns out that Willow and her group got there before them. And Willow really is not happy. But since Willow doesn't recognize Bunny, Giraffe, and Mimi, she isn't aggressive to them. But Willow won't let them take the cure because she wants it to herself. But the three don't back down. They're ready to fight over it. Unfortunately, the other guards show up to back up Willow. But I guess Willow decided to be a bit generous, so she said if they handed over Mimi, she would let the other two go. Mimi, knowing she would have the opportunity to make a cure, complies with them. And then Bunny and Giraffe get kicked out of Willow's base. But then, an unexpected figure comes to them and explains that he wants to help them. Felix says that he looks like one of those recon members that is basically, led by Willow, but he is actually part of a rebellion group, which is called the Coalition. And this rebellion group's main objective is to take down Willow once and for all. He also explains that Pony and Boy were part of the group. So, Bunny and Giraffe decide to trust Felix, and Felix tells them where Willow's base is. Anyways, back at base, Bunny and Giraffe explain that Mimi has been, captured, but Mimi has the plans for the cure, and the group actually needs the cure. But I guess Bunny and Giraffe have the cure, I think. Anyways, the player explains that he knows who Willow is. Anyways, Giraffe said that Felix told them where Mimi was being kept. So they head into the place where Mimi is being kept. But wait, it turns out to be a trap. The group get ambushed by Willow's guards. Willow made it very clear not to mess with her, and now she's not playing games any longer. Now, Willow says that she did a bit of testing on Mimi, and because of that, they let them go, and they let them take Mimi with them, I guess. Now, I'm gonna be honest, Chapter 9, The Campsite, is pretty much what got me into this series, and it's because of a certain character being introduced. So, anyways, Mimi manages to finish making the cure, and she takes it because, a certain reason, but she feels worse. So I guess the group go out to do some more testing. So, the group head to Lucella Forest, but on the way there, the car crashes. And Bunny finds the player unconscious. So Bunny, carrying an unconscious player, heads into the forest to escape whoever crashed the car. Oh, and also the player has some kind of a nightmare. So the player wakes up to find Bunny and Doggy? Wait, what? Yes, that's great! But anyways, after the car crash, Bunny explains that the others went missing. So Doggy helps them get through the forest. So anyways, they manage to get to a certain area away from the infected. But then, they hear a loud scream from Giraffe. It turns out that after the car crash, that Willow's group captured the others. So without thinking that much, the player jumps down to confront Willow. And Willow revealed that she knew that they were testing on that cure. So Willow's group decided to get in the way for their own benefits. And then Willow shot the player. Willow's group left, and I guess because of Doggy's first aid, the player survived. And it also turns out that Willow stole the cure when Willow shot the player. Anyways, they decide to go to some naval base in Haley. So the three go to a city, where they are greeted by Felix. Felix explains that Willow sent them out to locate them. He also says that Tigry is there as well. Anyways, Felix says that he can take them to where Willow is at. So, the four get into somewhere where they meet up with Tigry. So, Felix calls Willow on the radio, and Willow tells Felix where the helicopter is. So, they head to the Haley Dam. Well, after Felix goes over the plan. But, once the player got to the helicopter pad, he saw a note for Felix that Willow wrote. And it turns out that Willow was planning on betraying Felix anyway. But then, the player runs into Pony, and Pony explains that this is the king's domain. And then, Pony disappears. So, the player finds the others and explains to Felix that the helicopter is gone. And the player gives Felix the note that Willow left him. And Felix realizes that Tigry could be in danger. But luckily, Doggy, the Chad that he is, knows a fast way to the military base. And it's through the sewers. And after the player had another nightmare, the four continue on. Now, the thing about Chapter 12 is that it was going to be a full-on chapter where they fight Willow, but most of the footage, from what Sir Ovington said, got corrupted. And it seems like the player doesn't remember anything after continuing on in the sewers. To him, it was all a blur. And Yeah Boy explained to the player that the player freed Willow from what was possessing her. But little did they know, there's another presence out there, and they want revenge.